in you. Just let me be. I am. I am all you need, all you desire, all your hopes and dreams are found in me. Fall into me and I will give you rest. I am rest. I am peace. I am love. I am joy. I am light. You are my vessel for that. Just be in me.
You are my vessel for that. Just be in me. Okay. How was that for you when you wrote it and when you read it?
It just felt so liberating and so like, again, lovely. Like I felt, it was like, oh, okay, there's some ease in this. Like when I took the time to do it, it was one of those things where I had to force myself to go on a date, right? And go sit outside and take my journal and get like I said, get a latte and sit in the sun and then sit there and sit with it. And I was like, oh, this is good. Like otherwise I just stay and I work and I'm so much more productive. Like when I am just allow flow. Like, holy shit, I went for a run and I came back and my brain exploded and I developed like this whole program. Like I just barfed it out on the paper and it's all coming together. This program that I want to deliver in the near future for newly elected mayors and for like a mayor's mastermind group. Yeah. So can I show it? Can I show you it?
Of course you can. My brain is thinking, why isn't there a mayor's mastermind group yet? I can't believe the one doesn't exist. Like, oh my God. Okay. While you're doing that, I'm going to flip my laundry in the dryer. I'll be right back. Okay.
So yeah, I finished my the generic version of The Joy of Governing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have these going. These are going to print pretty soon, and I'll be able to sell them when I go out on workshops. And then I developed this program.
Okay, hold on. Can I just pause you for a sec? And I know these, have they gone to print already?
Yes.
Okay, I'm only, I don't know about the copyright on The Joy of. Be careful.
Okay.
So this is privately distributed right now, right? There's no there's no ISBN number. There's none of that, right? So my suggestion though, because it even looks like The Joy of Cooking, like the font and everything. You will get nailed for that at some point. If you went big, you'll get a cease and desist letter. Like, so great first run on that. I would highly suggest not running that cover again.
Oh shit.
Okay. It's done. It's done. It's done. You're not, like you're small potatoes right now, but you won't be small potatoes forever. So, so yeah, that's all. Even the title might have to change.
What if I turned it into a square?
Well, maybe, but you might even get nailed for the title because it's The Joy of, right? And I don't know if it's been copywritten or not, or if it's been trademarked. It's mostly trademarked, right?
What about The Joy of Sex?
Oh, right. The joy of sex, the joy of cooking. Is there the joy of cooking? Maybe I was thinking the joy of sex.
No,
I don't
you're
know.
right. Joy of cooking.
There is two, right? Okay.
Yeah. And this looks like the joy of cooking.
Okay. So the good news is then it must not be trademarked. The bad news is it still looks like the cookbook. So, I'm not the expert on that, but just be careful, and you probably wouldn't be able to sell that way. You might have to change the font at least, right? So it doesn't look like it. Just to be mindful, because you're not going to be small potatoes forever. So
part of the, I should check into that, partly because this has become a national, it's garnered national interest.
Right.
So Prince Edward Island wants to use it as their municipal handbook.
Awesome. Okay. Let me find out who I would connect you with on that. I'll talk to Tamara at Friesen, because she probably deals with that kind of stuff all the time. Okay. Okay, perfect. That's all. Before we move, that's just
okay.
Because I don't ever want you to get a cease and desist letter. Okay.
So that's interesting, because I thought that I thought maybe the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, who's picked this up, that they might have looked into that. But anyway, yeah, okay. And then the other thing that I developed the other day is it's a peer-to-peer mayor's mastermind group. 90 minutes monthly meetings on Zoom. The purpose is creative problem solving and troubleshooting, idea generation, real-time diagnostic, responsive scripting, and I wrote move from knowing the job to doing the job to being a leader. So that's the purpose. The process is inquiry-based investigative learning, customized strategic advice, organic conversations, safe and confidential, supportive environment. And the payoff, the purpose, the process, and the payoff is long-term systemic change to help you establish functional relationships, create stronger boundaries, transform your leadership, gold standard governance, avoid governance blind spots, help build a healthy team, reduce us and them thinking, create more clarity and less friction. So.
Fuck. You are gonna be a fucking millionaire.
Oh, nice.
Like, seriously, you are, this is, oh my God. I mean, it depends on where you want to go, but like, this is huge.
Yeah, I know.
Gold standard governance. Like, you could create a standardized, like, what is gold standard governance? Like, you could create something where
oh my gosh, you're right.
Right. And so a municipality can have that. We adhere to the gold standard governance thing. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's directly connected to you. And in order to get their gold standard, they have to take your course. They have to whatever they have to do. And that, accreditation, I think, is what that's called.
Yes. Yeah.
You're sitting on a gold mine. And then you have a team of people that do what you do. And
yes. Yeah.
They've read your book. They adhere to your gold standard governance thing. They go in and teach the people your gold standard governance. You run the mayor's mastermind, and they do you're the keynote. You establish what gold standard governance is. You deal with the people on top, and your team goes in and teaches the stuff, goes in and does the workshop. So you don't even have to do that anymore. You're on stage and you're dealing with the top players. Whoa.
Yeah, I love it.
And then you're in, and that's municipal government. Like, wait till you move into provincial or federal government. Like, the sky's the limit. Like, yeah, you're almost ready to work with Isabel. Like, to actually, I mean, if this lands, if this ends up being like, yeah, this is my rocket ship I'm getting on, you know, because she could take this and all the way, like, into a, you know, a 7-figure business. That's what she does, right? I'm the message lady.
Yeah.
She takes it and she looks under the hood at your business and says, okay, 7 figures, let's go.
Oh my gosh. So this is so interesting because I've been thinking about Isabel. I'm thinking about connecting to her and how worthwhile it would be.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She's pricey. She's pricey, but if you're, and that's why you want to work with her when you're ready, like when you're ready to make $250,000. So spending whatever, $20,000 makes sense because the return is 250, but you got to be ready. Like, if you're not ready, you're just spending money to learn what you should be doing, you know? But it's, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow. Woo. Okay. So let's go back into our work together, which is, it looks so creativity is what opened up the space, right? So having this month off, creating that, going in, it wasn't so much doing the ritual of the writing to the divine light, but all of these pieces of creating space to connect, to flow into this divine light space. Look what arrived, right?
Yeah.
So tell me more about what feels different for you in this space versus coming up with something clever, you know, 6 months ago. Are you noticing a difference, or is there just, what's it like?
So interesting though, can I actually read you
keep going. Yeah.
Because I glanced at it for 1 second while I was, when I read you the first one, and it actually plays into this. Dear divine light that is in me, where am I living in darkness that need not be?
Right.
And I wrote, be not afraid. I go before you always. Come follow me and I will give you rest. Pay attention. I will guide you. I will direct your path. I'll hold your hand in the dark. See me. Let go of how you think things should be and lean into what is. This birth canal is letting up. We're almost there. This darkness has been purposeful. Your resistance has not. Be present. I will give you eyes to see. You can do nothing to make me love you more or less. You are loved, you are forgiven, you are mine.
Oh, you are loved, you are forgiven, Christina. You are mine.
And then I wrote on the next page, as divine love, I give into the immeasurable flow that exists for me from you. I will, I am, I can, I open, I receive, I give. I live in your energy. I open to your light, your flow, your love. I'm yours. You're all there is. Everything is you, you and us and you, I and you and me. Bring me home to my first language of energy, of light, of power. And then I drew a picture of myself, and there was a figure 8 over top. Or a figure 8, a Mobius strip.
Yeah.
The infinity symbol.
Yeah.
And then just
So tell me a little bit. I'm curious about how you innately finish writing when you're done, when it's done with you. Can you feel that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want you to know that is unique. Okay. Because I work with a lot of people and I give them writing assignments, and most of them don't trust the download. So they actually write past it.
Yeah.
They don't surrender and really let the wisdom come through them. And when I listen to your writing, it's a download. You surrender. I just want you to know that that's really unique, and that it's something that you do. Was it something you do easily? Does it take effort to do that, or?
No, that actually comes fairly naturally. Interestingly enough, that doesn't always come naturally. It doesn't come naturally verbally.
Yeah.
I often don't know how to end. Mm-hmm. But when I'm writing, actually, I often feel when it's complete. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, yeah, there it is. Okay.
Have you ever felt it when you're speaking?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
And I've had to really okay, pay attention. Stop.
Mm-hmm. What do you know
to that?
What do you notice about the impact when you are speaking from that place and when you're speaking from the way you usually speak, I guess?
So when I finish and it's like in flow, mm-hmm. Everything just lands, and there's this space. It's like music, right? The space between the notes where it just goes whoosh, and lands.
Mm-hmm. What do you notice about your audience?
That's where I notice it in me and in them. It's a collective energy thing. It's a collective whoosh.
Yeah. So remember that piece that we bumped into last time about being that divine light, and and the exchange that you create in that divine light, that people, they're no longer watching you, they're actually part of it. Mm-hmm. That's what that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a skill to
it's an effort to stay effortless.
It's an effort. It is in the beginning, right? Yes. But it's a skill. I just want you to know, it's kind of like learning how to become an actor. Not that you're acting, but what actors learn how to do is the practice of surrender, right? Surrender into the moment with their partner, their scene partner, where they put themselves down, not down, but they put themselves aside so that the exchange between each other is what carries the scene, not the brain, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's, it's an obvious question, but which way feels better for you?
Obviously, when it's the it's the allowing, mm-hmm. right? That and the flow and the effortless kind of the knowing beyond knowing, right? Yeah.
Okay.
That feels so good and so clean and clear and pure and integral.
I'm thinking back to when we first started working together, and you used to describe standing in nature like that. Mm-hmm. That you go for a run or something, and stand in the sun, and I could feel that exchange, that flow state, and the knowing beyond knowing. And so just flash forward to now going, wow, you do that on stage too. On stage you can have those moments too, and there's something very nourishing to you as the vessel when you're speaking from that place.
Totally. I had a coaching call with one of my clients on Monday after I downloaded this sort of whole program, right? It was one of those days where I just whoosh, whoosh, everything. I literally had an ideal morning, where I had a great sleep. I went for a run, a workout, a swim, came back, had a great breakfast, and I was like, I am having an ideal morning. Downloaded this whole program, and then again, had just then went for a walk in the sun, and had a coaching call with one of my clients, and I knew that I was, everything that she asked me, she was asking me for strategic advice, and it was so clear, and so like I knew I was the conduit for accessing what I knew already, right? Like a bigger wisdom, and exactly, and you, like, I'm being fed by the exchange as much as she is, right? And it's just beautiful because it's just flowing, and it's super clear, and I love that. I love when I can be that for my clients and provide that, again, that strategic support when I don't have to wrestle with it, but just that it's like, yeah.
When I don't have to wrestle with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so who would you be if that was your operating system?
Who would I be? That would, that's in terms of this. That is living in a place of flow, creativity, accessing both the content and the intuitive context of the work that I do. It's all of that. It's marrying the intellectual knowing with the intuitive knowing.
So what is that? When you marry the intellectual knowing with intuitive knowing, what does knowing become?
Well, it becomes transformational magic, really. It transforms. It leads to the knowing, doing, being. That's right. Like it all intersects and connects. Because you can't bypass. You can't achieve being if you don't have the knowing. And so it's marrying the three.
Yeah. I dare say it's alchemy.
Yes. Yeah.
Like there's something alchemic about it, right? It's because all three layers are existing at the same time, and they're merging with each other. They're merging in, they're merging out, and it's and they're not three individual lines anymore. Yeah. They're three threads that weave in each other. Wow.
That comes to our conversation about the Trinity.
It does. Yeah. It really does. Yeah. Knowing, doing, being. Wow. Wow. Now, of course, you wouldn't necessarily be able to stand up in a conference room and talk about alchemy. But you couldn't.
That doesn't matter, though, does it? Right?
Well, it doesn't. But you know where you could? In a mayoral mastermind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Right? Like all of a sudden, you're now talking to people who speak your language and feel what you feel. And you've just given them language to understand what's actually going on with them. You know, you wouldn't really come out of the gate all woo-woo using alchemy, but over time, you could drop those in, you know? Huh. Wow. Okay, Miss Creativity. What is creativity giving you right now?
It's opening up my vision about what's possible to create a more grounded life for myself, right? I think that's what I've been looking for. Okay, you know, who do I need to be on my team? What do I need to create that allows me to do the work that I love and be there for my clients and create transformational change without the overwhelming physical upset of travel and eating out and late nights, early mornings, beds that aren't mine, right? All of that. Like, it just makes it possible.
So tell me more. It makes it possible. What makes it possible?
I think, like, I can see the possibility coming closer to actually, like I said, delivering something that allows me to be more grounded and still, again, like I said, use the work that I love, travel less, but impact more.
Right. So am I hearing you right, that creativity has created, like, has opened up this flow state right now, and so it's delivered a product which is showing up in this mayoral mastermind and likely other things, and you're seeing that the next version of what you do, you're seeing the next version of what you do.
Yeah.
And so that the woman who travels on planes ends up being replaced by team members as you as you build the big vision. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah. And that, like, I don't want to eliminate all my travel, but I want to travel less. And the idea of now so going out and doing the work that I'm doing over the next couple of months gives me, again, the credibility to say to my clients, here's what's next. You just did governance training, and now you know what your job entails. I can hold your hand and help you, like I said, move from knowing to doing, to being a leader, to knowing what the job entails, to doing a good job, to being a leader.
Yeah.
And this is, and it can happen because part of the program is the peer-to-peer mayors mastermind group, but also the second part is the team and individual strategic advising and coaching. So that's the second package. So for CAOs and for mayors and councils, right? So that they can do those teamwork. And the cool thing is, I guess part of why this is resonating for me is that I'm really getting lots of repeat clients right now. Right? Like, my clients are coming, they're buying into not just one and done. This ongoing help. And so it can be available to a broader audience.
Yeah. Okay. So let's touch in on this dark side of yours. How's the dark side feeling these days?
Again, what I said about it being purposeful. It feels like it's more in the a little bit more in the in the background, so much more. Instead of in the foreground. And I feel like I have more resources to look at it than to resist it, if that makes sense. So when I get there, I'm like, okay, again, I see you. This is okay. And one of the things that it's even on Sunday, instead of panicking, I was, okay, body, you don't like it when we drink too much and eat, a bunch of crap. You're pretty sensitive, and that's okay. Thank you. Thanks for being like that. You need me to respect and honor you, and you're talking to me a little more aggressively. Like, it was interesting because I wrote. Well, I loved what you said about it being like a baby, and that you don't give.
Yeah, you don't bring a baby into it. Yeah.
You don't give shit to a baby.
Yeah.
So just kind of paying attention to that. But also acknowledging, you know, I wrote down the other day, I was like, ways that I have looked after myself. And that is, I have had very little alcohol over the last month. I've had little sugar. I'm learning to say no. I'm laughing at myself. I'm ending conversations that need to end. I'm ending, like, I was having a stupid conversation with my sister-in-law the other day, and I just looked and said, okay, I'm done. I gotta go. Like, it was like, this is a nonsense conversation. I can feel energy draining from me. And I was like, instead of, and it wasn't unkind, but what is constantly happening is I've been unkind to myself to appear kind to her. Right. And I was like, it's not nice for either of us. So I just like, we're done. Okay. And again, ended it cleanly and kindly and without any kind of, I don't know. Did you watch the video I sent you?
No, I'm sorry. I've been so busy. I forgot.
Okay, then you have to watch it right now.
Okay, I'm watching it right now. I just pulled my phone out so I could watch it right now.
Pull your phone out. I want you to watch it right now.
And it was on Facebook, right? Yeah.
Yep, on Messenger.
Okay, there it is. Elizabeth Blue.
How do you create boundaries? One thing you can do is just practice this. No. Would you like to do something? No. Can I come over? No. Here's an authentic, relating, nonviolent communication tip. I notice when you invite me to hang out with you, everything inside me goes, fuck no, I don't want to hang out with you. So I'm feeling I should honor that. Sometimes when people ask us, we just say yes because we aren't tuned into our own desires and we just want to people please everyone around us because we're conditioned that way.
Oh my God.
By culture and society. It can be really scary to say no. What if someone thinks you're mean? That would end the world. If you're really practicing boundaries, just try this. No. If it maybe scares you to say no to the actual person, just grab your phone and throw it across the room. Throw a shoe. Why did I do that?
Oh my God.
You know now why I wanted you to watch that.
Oh my God. And now is the perfect time for me to watch that. That's so fucking great. Oh my God. That's funny.
Oh
my God, I love it.
I know. I've watched it about 10 times.
Kidding, right? Oh my God.
I think you're mean and that
And
in
the world. Can't do that. That's good. So good. So I'm going to dig around in this little dark side again. Not because I think there's anything that we need to do in there, but it's more of how did the dark side go. So here's what I'm noticing. Creativity is alive and well now. Gates open, right? There's a couple of things that that I think are working for you and that I want to focus on, like creating some rituals, because rituals matter greatly for you. So that's a whole other piece. But creativity, the state of being is now open. Okay, like your state of creativity is open. It's not shut.
Yeah.
It's not being judged any more than we would, maybe judge ourselves. It's open. It's totally present. I'm like, there's no resistance here. Creativity is open. Do we want to play in there some more? Absolutely we do. Yeah. But it's open, right? So it's like that, whatever that hard work was to move into this place is done. So now I'm like, okay, so now shadow, if you will, instead of dark side, because again, we're looking at light and dark, and then that makes us go into good and bad. And instead of looking at it from that place, this world of shadow showed up, not just because it was resistance, it was this state between you and your creativity, but it also showed up to teach you something. Right? So,
yeah.
Woo! Woo! Did you lose me or you? Can you hear me?
I can't. Yep, there we go. Oh,
okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. And so now I'm sitting with, okay, shadows at the table. Like shadows now, like you said, in the background, part of the family. Shadows like part of the family. It's not part of the family we don't talk to. It's not the part of the family we wished we didn't have. Or like shadows part of the family. Okay, shadow. So what did you, now that you're at the table, what are you really here to teach Christina about her work? So I'm really, I wanted, like, if shadow is now a friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're feeling safe to explore, which is what creativity is. You're feeling safe to go step into the unknown. What is shadow in governance? Where does shadow show up in governance? Where does shadow show up in, and how are you now the expert on that? You're now talking about a mastermind of mayors. So this isn't just about standing in front of them, telling them what to do. Yep. This is stepping into the realm of creativity with them. Shadow's going to show up.
And shadow shows up, especially in this role, as people pleasing.
Okay. Ooh.
And loose boundaries.
Shadow shows up loose boundaries from the mayors?
Yeah, like very porous boundaries as opposed to semi-permeable.
Okay. How about, I'm going back to your shadow. Like, what are the, not that you have to go here, but it's a mastermind. This is not a discussion room. This is a mastermind. This is where if this really becomes a change agent, it's going to be about bringing their dirty little secrets. It's the safe place that they can have, might be one-on-one mastermind sometimes with you, right? Where they're saying, I feel ashamed that I blah, 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 or I am terrified of blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So it's ego.
Okay, here we go.
It's that desire to look like you have it all together and that you have all the answers, and to appear competent and all-knowing, as opposed to embracing complexity, mystery, and unknowing.
Is there something, Christina, I'm just saying this from my own experience when I look at governance, so like I'm Yo-Joe General Public, right? And Yo-Joe General Public stops voting for someone when I no longer think they're relevant. And what I suspect is they are no longer relevant because they've stopped serving me. And they started serving their fear of not being elected, or they've started serving that, what you're just talking about appearing.
Thinking and
right. So is there something in there about, which I think you may have just said it, but it's like, is it when people who govern when they stop serving, and what causes them to stop serve? To stop there, like what causes them to be irrelevant? Is it ego? Is there anything else in that camp? Like, who are the players in the camp that creates a mayor that's no longer relevant? Because holy fuck, that would be quite, there's a topic.
From my experience and observation, it's when it's losing touch with reality.
Ah, there it is. Yeah.
And being and losing the courage to tell the truth about what's going on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's ignoring reality and plugging the leaking holes, right? Like trying to boil the ocean or plug the dam with, you know, your fingers.
What does that mean? Trying to boil the ocean? I love that. What is that?
Well, it's one thing, like when I'm working with staff, I always tell them, don't try to boil the ocean, right? You work within what you have, and same with elected officials. Stop trying to be everything to everyone and focus on what it is that are your roles and responsibilities. And this comes back down to the work that I do around asset management, right? And it comes back to the challenge that I have in my own life, right? Like all of this feeds into my own wrestling matches, my own personal wrestling matches. I know that.
Love it. Okay, so we're on to something here because again, we're listening to Shadow. Okay, Shadow, what are you teaching us? Because you didn't just show up in Christina's life so she could be free. Like now that she's free, this is part of what's relatable about you. So with mayors, this is great. So Shadow shows up when they lose touch with reality, they lose their courage to tell the truth, and they plug leaks instead of what?
Instead of here's the truth, here's what needs to be done, and here's what we're doing. Right. And we're not going to make everybody happy, but we're going to do the right thing because it is the right thing to do. Here's the empirical evidence.
Yeah.
Here's what we know.
Yeah.
Here's what we're going to do. So here's how we can be. It's right. So weird as I talk to you how this all, like, I'm not thinking about those, like, I don't think about this all the time, right? But like it comes back to that knowing, doing, being, right? Like knowing here's what's happening. Here's what we need to do so that we can be the kind of community, the kind of society, the kind of culture that does the right thing now and for 7 generations. That 7th generation principle, right?
Ooh, I'm getting total shivers. Wow. Oh. Not that you have to do this. But I'm going to go out on a skinny branch here and suggest that in this space of divine timing, what you just said is the message that will change the world. It is the bridge between our First Nation culture, our First Nation heritage, 7 generations. It's the bridge that no one has been able to figure out how to do. You've just put language that speaks to Western, whatever, Western and First Nation. Whoa. Knowing, doing, being. So you can do the right thing, the kind of thing that is right for 7 generations. You're sitting on a fucking gold mine. I just have to say that, Christina. Like, I know there's deep spiritual message shit here, but when I think about divine timing, it's like you're a blonde, blue-eyed white chick, right? That can speak the language that bridges man-splaining governance culture with the empowerment of women, with the empowerment of our Canadian heritage, and the wisdom of the planet. Like, wow. This does not have to be your platform, but like when I say that, how does that hit you?
Yeah, I feel that mantle. Okay.
Okay.
The
okay.
mantle.
Yeah, you do. So you're getting a light image, like a.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and this has happened to me before when I didn't decide to run for mayor.
Mm-hmm.
It decided me, and there's a whole story behind that. But it decided me. It was handed to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a mantle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the other terminology is.
It's okay. It doesn't matter. I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
So in your language, I would call this a mantle moment.
Yeah.
You know, and we don't get many of those in our lifetime, but we do get them.
Yeah.
And I would suggest, I'll probably ask Chris about it. Maybe I'll send him an email. But I would suggest it's part of what stepping into our sovereign self, that expansion, like our soul expansion.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels like. So in your language is a mantle moment, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Your sovereign self just said yes, right? Like, yes.
Yeah. It's that knowing beyond knowing, right?
Mm-hmm. But bigger than that too, honestly, bigger than knowing beyond knowing, because I think when we tap into that energetic plane, we do know beyond knowing.
Mm-hmm.
But what's just happened, what I suspect is, like the visual that I get is like actually stepping into the being that you're created for. It's not even knowing anymore. It's stepping into the being. Well, look at your knowing, doing, being, right? It's like, that's so funny. Oh my God. You know, like, you know, that saying, big shoes to fill. We think of that when we're replacing somebody, but I also, like, in a really simplistic visual, as we embody more and more of our sovereign, who we are, of our being, it's like our shoes grow. It's like, I just got a bigger pair of shoes.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
growing into the shoes that were meant for you.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And there'll be another pair after this mantle, potentially. Potentially after this, when this mantle is fulfilled, there is another pair of shoes waiting.
Yeah.
And you may have another mantle moment again. But that means
I have to go through another fucking birth canal.
Yes, you do. It's either that or we die, you know.
Does that mean get out of this one first?
Oh my God. I'm going to send you a little 7-minute video from Dr. Martin Shaw, this guy whose work I've totally fallen in love with. And he talks about this, it's only 7 minutes, but he talks about this, was he a monk? Oh no, I'm not a monk. I can't remember. Anyway, one of the wise people in this village, one of the touted, wise people. And he said the reason why he was the leader of this community is because at 70 something, he would still go up on the bluff, like on the cliffs, with nothing but a blanket or a shawl or a sweater or something. And he would die again. And he has died and lived, like died and then been reborn and died and reborn and died and died and died again. At 70, he was still doing that on those quests. Yeah.
It's interesting because I was raised on a certain type of thinking around being born again, like
right.
Born again.
Yeah.
And I feel like as I would say over the last year or so, the term born again means so much to me now, right? Like I get it, I feel it at a visceral level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not at that kind of, tactical sort of, this
Yeah.
is you have to do, say a prayer and then you're born again, right? And instead of it's like, it's death, rebirth, like, oh, and it was just like, oh, I'm being born again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, I feel like I get it.
So, okay, let's not like push the moment or rush it, but but how's it landing? Like that's a big concept. This concept of governance from this place of doing the right, like knowing, doing, being grounded in what you said, like doing the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
For 7 generations. And I want to be clear as well that doesn't have to be your business model.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That it can simply be your mission on the inside.
Exactly. Yeah.
There may be those that you do share that with.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's still like your business model is still the gold standard governance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Knowing, doing, being, but your inner life or your ultimate message of your book, should you write one, or your whatever key, like that's a TED talk right there. Like that is a TED talk, the 7 generation know, do, be thing.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll shut up now. But I just wanted to put that in there to create some permission around it, because it doesn't mean everything has to change.
Yep.
No,
and I get that. I've got no problem with that. That makes loads of sense. It's like, yeah, that's already happening.
Yeah, right. But like the first skill probably of creating even the possibility of a mayor and a team, a council that makes decisions that affect 7 generations.
Yeah.
Is they first have to understand the know, do, be connection. Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Like all the little right decisions that add up to the 7-year right decisions.
Exactly.
Like, fuck. Gold star governance. No, do, be. Wow. What's so remarkable about this is I have another client who came to me a while ago wanting to create an accreditation thing about something else. And and it's a very clever concept, but I will tell you, it doesn't feel like what this feels like. Like it feels clever on their part, like a great idea.
Yeah.
Whereas this feels like it's totally rooted.
Yeah, it as if our planet depends on it, right? And I think about what we know about, like, well, when we start to think about all the crisis going on in our world, and climate change and poverty and homelessness and addiction, and like we depend on 7th generational thinking. We can no longer afford to the luxury of short-term thinking, and no politician has the luxury of thinking only within their term. And we can't elect people like that. We can't afford to elect people like that anymore. What are you going to do now with what you know, so that we can be the kind of community that we need to be in 7 generations?
Do mayors typically stay for 2 terms?
Yeah, anywhere from 2 terms to like it seems like it's either 2 or it's endless.
Yeah.
I don't know when to quit. They're not always very good at exit strategies.
So I'm gonna eventually, maybe not, I'll put you in touch now anyway, but put you in touch with my friend Shahar, who is writing a book, very different, but his book is called Saving God. And the piece that was resonating for me, I mean, one, you'll just love his book, even though he's like super like Mr. Intellectual PhD guy. So sometimes I have to rein him in because he's like, what? But he has developed what he calls code, which is a developmental model. And it takes 7 years for communities to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
So we're right on 7
Wow.
again.
Yeah.
And in one of the pieces that he talks about is that his recommendation is every 7 years, the leader of that community needs to step down.
I love that.
Because if they don't, they end up cycling in his philosophy, his approach, from what he's seen, is they end up what I would call eating their own arm, right?
Yep.
And
yep.
we're potentially on what I was asking about irrelevant.
Yes. Yeah.
Go unconscious, right?
Yep.
Well, I'll connect you to, because I think when his book is done, you'll likely want to read it, because I think there's in that 7 generational thinking, there's something there. And I'm also going to send you this recording, because you basically, like, your platform's right here. You just said it, that last little piece that you said, I was like, whoa, that's it.
Yeah. That's funny, because I feel like I'm glad that's a good idea. I would love to see the recording.
Yeah.
Because I think that something happened.
Yeah. And you said, nor should we. We should not be electing officials.
Yep.
We can't afford to elect officials who don't blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
7 generational thinking.
Well, and the cool thing for me, just logistically, I actually get the opportunity now to speak to these newly elected officials. I am speaking at all of the newly elected training, except for in the Lower Mainland. I'm speaking at all of them.
Wow.
And so it is, again, that and I'm speaking to in Prince Edward Island at their newly elected training, right? So the opportunity to actually kind of plant that seed and set the stage now, right? You've been elected. You have 4 years to do the right thing. It's going to take courage, and you're going to need some help. And I'm here to walk beside you and help you develop that courage muscle, because it matters.
Are there any stats about how long counselors are usually counselors? Like, do they usually go for 2 terms? Like, is there any place you could get those stats?
I don't know. That's a good question. It really varies from community to community, right across the province. Just because I've been involved long enough now that there's generally a 50% turnover of council.
So that's not bad, 50%. So here's what I'm envisioning. I'm envisioning, getting up on stage or whatever, whether you're on stage or whether you're teaching, whatever, and you say, statistics show that half of you in this room are going to stay for a 2nd term. Which that's 8 years then, right? Because it's 4 years.
Now they're 4-year terms, yeah.
And that becomes the that becomes the basis of your seventh generational thinking.
Mm.
They're there for 7, not generations, but they're there for 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, or 8 years. And then they have the last year where they're on their way out. Like I know 7 generations is the same as 7 years, but
making those linkages just to, to think in terms of.
Yeah. Because what happens, like, really, then you start to really unpack 7s, right? You unpack that. You're like, grade 1 to grade 7.
Yeah.
When grade 7's going into high school, you've got another grade 1 coming in.
Yeah.
Which is another generation.
Yep. Yeah.
In communities, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would unpack the number 7 in a community.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And tie that together.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Whole other conversation now. We're kind of off creativity, but we're like into this, like, what's arrived as a result of it. We're like, whoa.
Oh.
We just had a mantle moment thanks to creativity and the allowance of shadow, because you can't have creativity if shadow's not allowed to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I certainly had a bit of a, not a wrestling match, but just a real kind of angst moment, or longer than a moment time yesterday, just with I'm feeling so good about all of these ideas.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of longing and sexual desire, juiciness that is just kind of, it also exists there, and it's like, what to do with that.
Yeah.
Right? It's just so it's in some ways I've kind of kept everything numb for a bit,
right?
Just trying to survive. And
so, I mean, there's lots of color and sexual energy, right?
Yeah.
So how alive do you feel right now? I don't mean sexually alive. I mean, like, given that part of your life has longing and yearning in it, on a scale of 1 to 10, how alive do you feel?
Scale 1 to 10. Like right now, I feel very alive. Like I feel a 9.
9. So where's that sexual energy? How is that being satiated in you then? Like, because it's being satiated somewhere. It doesn't have to be about sex, right? But if you're not a 7 or a 4, part of your sexual being is being nourished somewhere.
Yeah.
So how is it being nourished that you notice right now? What nourishes it?
Being nourished through running.
Okay.
Right? Like I'm running it out. And sometimes dancing it out.
Yeah.
And that actually sometimes feels like the best way to release it is dancing it out.
Mm-hmm. So you're not dating anybody?
No.
Are you open to dating anybody?
Yeah, I actually said to my girlfriend the other day, I'm like, I want a boyfriend.
Okay. Breathe. So you're open to dating. Is that true?
I am, and I'm not.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just name it out.
I don't feel like Stephen and I have enough resolution yet in our relationship for me to feel free. And
this is your ex-husband?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So are you open? Let's just play on a couple of these things. Mm-hmm. Are you open to thinking about men?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good. So that one's that's 100%.
Yeah.
Are you?
Like I would love to be quite honest, I would love like a male companion and somebody who there would be like a slight sexual charge, but just like a male companion to hang out with and do things with.
Hmm. Doesn't sound very sexy. Sounds like a puppy. Doesn't sound like it's in the realm of creativity, is what I'm kind of, it sounds kind of safe. And it's really okay if it's not, if the timing's not there.
Yeah.
Would you be, are you?
And the timing isn't there. Like honestly, the timing really isn't there. It's more just sort of in some longing and some, and like letting go of the longing for the person that I'm deeply attracted to and deeply in,
This is your partner?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this isn't my work, but I know it exists.
Mm-hmm.
Are you friends with Angela Thurston at all?
No. Well, I think we are on Facebook.
Probably. And I'm not suggesting that you hire her or anything like that. And she's kind of funny that way. Like she's not really into girlfriend talk. She usually wants to be hired. But she said something to me. And maybe if I say, hey, I don't know. Anyway, backtrack for a sec. She said something to me about the sacred bowl, of our, oh my God, the bowl of our, not uterus, but like our whole platform, our whole pelvic floor. There we go. Mm-hmm. That bowl, like our hips, that whole section of our body is our sacred bowl of energy. Mm-hmm. And that we have energy leaks from that sacred bowl. And for her, masturbation is a big piece of keeping that bowl full of her energy. And she even says that she'll notice when she first started her personal pleasure practice, that like daily practice or whatever, that she would notice that when she'd skip a day, her energy would come down. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So there's something I think in there potentially for you, but I think there's also something about, again, knowing your history a little bit, and this conversation of shadow is I would love to see you collect your sexual energy and hold it in your sacred bowl, in the divine bowl that is you, so that when you feel yearning, the yearning is nourishing, not leaking energy.
Not leaking, yeah. Okay.
I don't know what that work is, but I would bet it's you're a divine light. So it's like bringing the wave of energy back into your body.
Yeah, and I can kind of visualize ways to do that, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Ways to kind of just draw energy there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that way, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking because I remember seeing some of her posts on Facebook and they were a little too much for me, actually. Mm-hmm. And
so maybe then just Google some sacred divine, feminine sexual energy. I don't know. Because I think that when I think of you as a vessel of light, of divine energy, and when you're on your light side, it's very easy for you. But when there's something about sex for you that somehow is still directly connected to shadow.
Yeah.
And that's only because that's where the brain has put it.
Yep.
It's not connected to shadow. It just, and so.
It's where I've connected to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not sure why I'm here other than it's a huge part of you. It's a huge part of you. And to pretend that it's not is not sustainable.
No, I actually wrote a list of what I want in a partnership and a loving relationship.
Mm.
And I wrote a man who loves and adores me, a man who's physically fit and attractive to me, a man who's interested in growing with me as a person, a man who enjoys my friends, who's a slow, passionate lover, who's an aggressive, creative, curious, and inventive lover, who's healthy, fit, active, adventurous, who likes to read and likes to read to me and then discuss what he read, who's emotionally mature, stable, available, who is wise, thoughtful, curious, who is intellectually stimulating, who appreciates good food, luxurious experiences, attractive spaces, who's neat and clean and orderly and helpful, who's funny and has a great sense of humor, who's financially secure, stable, and generous to people in his life, including me.
Mm.
There's a lot in there, isn't there?
Interestingly enough, there's only one line in there that's really fiery.
The one about aggressive, creative, curious, inventive lover.
Yeah. I would add 2 more things in there that take on that energy of fiery. That's all. Because otherwise it'll surprise you later. I'm going to be really blunt with you. It's a huge part of who you are. It's part of what makes you magic. It's probably one of the ways you plug in and fuel up.
Say that again.
Okay. It's probably one of the ways that you plug in and fuel up.
Okay, but you said I would add
A couple, add at least 1 or 2, no, 2 or 3, 2 or 3 lines around having a partner that lights you up.
Okay, yeah.
And takes on, the word I use is fiery, but that flickers in you. Because, you got the whole divine thing figured out. You've got the divine light, and there's a woman in there who pounds the pavement when she runs. She doesn't run like a deer. She pounds the pavement when she runs because it's got to it, and it's intoxicating, delicious, wild, not wild bad, but wild big and bold and nourishing. It's like you with crazy sexy hair because you've just been so sexed and loved. You're like, you are blissed out. Yeah, right? It doesn't have to be hard and fast or whatever, but I just don't want you to be to shy away from that part of you. It is the reason why you are able to walk into a room and tell mayors what to do. You are not teaching the HR staff.
Yeah.
You are talking to the big guns.
Yeah.
You're talking to mostly men. So let's include some creativity that has some sparks on your list, because that's a match for you.
So I added a man who nourishes me, a man who celebrates me in my creativity. I added a man who blisses me out.
Yes.
A man who lights me up.
Nice. Beautiful. How's that?
Ooh, it's juicy.
It's juicy. Cedar just come home. I'm just going to tell him 10 minutes, okay?
Okay.
I'm done in about 10 minutes, okay?
Can you make me a pizza poppin'?
I'd be happy to. Yeah. Hi, honey.
She raised the 9 pages to 12.
You'll be fine. You're brilliant. Okay. So, let me just go back and look at what we covered today. So it's funny that the word that we opened on that I wrote down anyway was ritual. And that you had to force yourself to have this date. But I really want to encourage you to make your travel sustainable in the next few months as you're going.
Yeah.
That you practice a ritual. I don't know what the ritual is of that turmeric tea, but I don't know, and I don't know if it's in the morning, but beyond your ritual of exercise, that ritual of touching in to self-nourishment or listening, and it really that divine, your connection to your own light, the way when you wrote to yourself, it was like download received. It might include something like that. I want to encourage that, but from a place from ritual.
Okay.
Not habit.
It's
sacred. It's ritual. Okay. So no force. You don't have to force to build the habit, but it's a ritual. And there was something, you did this thing. It's funny. I wrote it down. You said, otherwise I just stay in this, and I could see this arrow that never kind of got out of this space. It's like follow the bouncing ball that never went anywhere. I could see it, but I drew an arrow. That ritual changes that for you. Okay, I'm going to connect you. I'm going to connect with Tamara and find out about the joy of your book, and because I don't know who you would even talk to about that.
Okay.
We noticed that flow state happens easily for you when you're writing, but you have experienced it when you're speaking. And so that's your new home base, because that's when creativity is alive in you and you're actually surrendered. Okay. And you notice that is the place where you and your audience land, is what you said. And it's nourishing, you said, as well, for you when you speak from that place. We discovered this alchemy of knowing, doing, being, and that a visual of the 3 threads all moving together, or you might even see 3 colors that are all kind of dancing together. And we saw this place of this creativity has brought possibility of more ritual in your life, less travel, like less sleeping in other people's beds, as you're noticing how important sleep is to you. So that's alive in the space. You mentioned that you are learning to talk to yourself in your short leash, short rope. Thank you for being like that. I loved that phrase. Love that. So beautiful. And then we had a conversation about your mayor mastermind, and then this whole thing about 7 generations arrived. Doing the right thing for 7 generations, and a mantle moment arrived. And just to connect back as well to this idea of Gold Star governance, and you having a business model around this Gold Star governance, where municipalities everywhere, get that Gold Star because they've worked with you for however many times, and there's a whole process for that. But the mantle moment was as if our planet depends on it. Depend on 7 generational thinking. And then the last place that we went to was this inviting creativity in and allowing yearning to transform from an energy leak to yearning of self-nourishment and keeping that sexual energy in the bowl for nourishing you. From my listening place, the what dropped in is the 7 generations. And the invitation for you, if you want it, that is a sovereign piece inside of you, and that there's a message in there, a divine message to step into. So that's from my place. That's what I heard. What do you hear, and what did you hear from our time today?
Well, I think that was huge, actually. That whole connection and the resonance of that. And like you said, that doesn't have to be the business model, but that's sort of the underlying motivation, right? Like that's the driver. And nobody else needs to know that that's the driver, but that's the driver.
Yeah.
There it is, right?
Yeah. Reminds me of when I was first getting to know Charlene's stuff. I'm like, I couldn't figure her out until finally I said, okay, so what the fuck? Like, what is it? Where is this going? And she said, when the phone rings at the Prime Minister's office and it's Powerhouse on the line, someone picks up.
Yeah.
I'm like, now I get it. And to me, that's what your 7th generation is, the driver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet. All right, my dear. I'm going to listen to this recording again.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. We'll send it to you now. And we'll see each other again. You book another one because I had to cancel last week.
Yep. Okay.
We'll do that, and then we'll talk about next. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right. Thank you, my dear.
Mwah.
Love you.
I love you too. Great work today.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, sweetie.